nothing like being out all day on a nice hike to come home anticipating a hot shower only to find out you have cold water. Is there any way that we can prevent this from happening?
Yes. The way that we could do it is by maintenance. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do some maintenance on our water heater, and what this will show you is a way to maintain your water heater so that you don't have to deal with emergency costs of having someone come out and repair it. First, I want to start off by talking about the cover for the water heater. You're going to want to replace the latch that's on there if you have a plastic style latch. We have a stainless steel upgrade one on ours because we don't want to lose this cover. If you have a standard black or white one, it's only about $30 to replace. But since ours is painted, it's around $500 to have it painted and replace it. So do yourself a favor, click on the link below and get yourself one of the metal latches. First, we need to take this cover off. Be careful not to mar the paint by taking the latch off, and tilt it forward. Just lift up on this. This model is a Atwood water heater, and the door comes off fairly easy. If you have a Dometic, it's going to be a little bit different on the inside here, but the same principles apply. One of the first things I always check on the water heater is the electrode and the igniter. So it's one and the same thing. You want to check, pull this boot back, make sure that the connection is tight and clean. One of the things that you can do is try pulling it off. And it should be nice and tight like this one is. Give it a little wiggle if it is. Make sure it's clean and put it back together, and then try to relight the water heater. If that doesn't fix it, then you may need to take this igniter out. Since we're working on the water heater and it's not actually failing right now, what I did was I turned this off last night to allow it to cool down so that none of the components are going to be warm or hot when I'm working on them. So it's nice and safe for me to work on this.
When working on the water side of the water heater, you want to make sure to turn off the water and also drain the system. When working on the electric side of your water heater, you want to make sure to go inside and turn the switch off. If you have an electric heating element, you also want to turn that switch off and make sure to turn the breaker off.
Again, when taking this boot off, you may want to give it a little twist and then pull it down. Use two hands to pull this apart. Now you're going to take this screw out to remove this electrode. You can use a flat blade screwdriver or a thin walled nut driver. You can see that our electrode is dirty, so we want to maintain that. What I recommend using is a clean stainless steel brush to clean this off, and also what I like to use is a metal file to make sure that the edges are nice and squared off. It helps the spark to jump from a squared off edge to another squared off edge. One of the key things, as well as it being clean, is the gap. I like to use Allen wrenches to measure the gap. You can take and see that this one's a little closer than 1/8 of an inch, but you don't want it over 3/16 of an inch. If you're going to make an adjustment on this, I recommend holding the ground electrode so that you don't break the weld back here, and also that you don't break the porcelain of the electrode, because if this shorts out here, your water heater will stop working as well. So we can hold on to both sides, give it a little tweak, and then measure it again with the Allen wrench. So I'm going to clean this up so we can get ready to put it back in. Now I'm going to clean the heat exchanger side of the water heater. I'm going to use this brush to clean it. Now you can use this brush and a vacuum and just stick it in from right here and work this back and forth and clean it out. But so that we can see a little bit better what's going on in here, I'm going to take this cover off and clean it off that way. This is really dirty. We're going to use this brush and a vacuum to clean this out. We're going to take the burner tube off so that we can clean inside of it, and then finish cleaning the inside of the heat exchanger side. So you want to back this up, hold really tight, and crack this loose. Now that we got that loose, move over to removing the screws here. One of the things that will clog this up is spiders and mud daubers. They'll build their homes inside here and clog this up. You'll go to start your furnace, you'll hear the gas valve open, but you won't get a flame. And it's usually because this is blocked up. So take it off just like we showed you. Get a brush, clean inside of here, push through it, and clean it all out. Small orifice also in the side of here, you want to make sure that it is clean. If you get a tiny drill set or a pick, you can poke inside there to clean it out. You can see that the heat exchanger is dirty. So we're going to clean off as much of that debris as we can with our brush and vacuum. That way we can make the heat exchanger a little more efficient.
We're going to go ahead and turn the water off. We're also going to drain the hot side. If you have a low point drain, go ahead and use that because it makes it easier to drain the rig and it makes less of a mess when doing the project.
Now it'll be easier for us to gain access to the anode rod with the burner assembly out of the way. I had sprayed some deep creep on the threads for the anode rod to make it easier for it to come out. Now you want to use something like this penetrating oil to get in there and loosen up the threads. It'll make your life a whole lot easier. Now you could spray this on the night before when you turn the water heater off. You may be able to take it off with just the 1/2-inch drive ratchet. If it's really stubborn, then you can get out the breaker bar and break it loose. So let's try to get this off. You can use an 1 1/16 socket or a 27mm socket to get this particular anode rod out. You want to be careful of your knuckles too. You don't want to scrape them. There'll be some water that'll come out of here. You can see we went way too long with this anode rod. There was assumption on my part on when it was replaced last, and some of the places we went had some really bad water because it's supposed to look like this. Tape on there to help when I need to go remove it the next time. I've seen people use a little bit of never sees or anti-sees on the end of the threads as well, but just a couple of wrappings of this will do the same thing. Now when threading this in, you want to start it by hand and turn it as far as you can by hand. Snug it up with a wrench. You don't want to go too tight. As the water heater heats up, it'll seal more around there as the metal expands.
We're going to slowly turn the water back on, and we're going to need to allow the air to get out of the lines as well. We're going to open up the faucet line to let the air out. And we're going to have to do it both on the hot and the cold side. Takes a little while. And there it is.
With the system up to pressure, we can check for leaks on the anode rod, and then if we opened up the safety relief valve, we can check that for any drips. Now that everything's clean, we could start installing everything in reverse order.
that we have it all back together, we're going to go inside and make sure that the water heater is full of water before we turn the heat on. We're going to turn on any breakers that we've turned off, and then we're going to turn on the water heater switch.
Now that we've checked that it will light, we'll check how it runs. You want a nice blue flame right there on the electrode. Some models have an adjustment for the air-fuel mixture over here. Ours does not. If you have that little shutter, you can make the adjustment back and forth to adjust the flame. Here we would have to add some sort of tape or something like that to cover it up if we needed to. If it is howling really loud and making your dogs go crazy, then you want to make the adjustment. And after you've made any type of adjustments, you want to put the cover back on to see if that changes the air-fuel mixture.
We're going to put the cover back on. We need to make sure that we line up the holes in the bottom here. And be careful because it's going to be hot.
You can do these maintenance steps to avoid costly repairs.
And a cold shower.
So that'll do it for this video.
If you like this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe.
And we'll catch you on the next one.